You're listening to Brick by Brick, a work boot's approach to your wealth, creating financial empowerment through independent, personalized, and authentic financial planning.
Connor Theofold is a certified financial planning professional and wealth advisor at LGH Wealth and co-host of the Brick by Brick podcast. And we get him in here once a week, talk about finances. Comments or questions, let us know. Al@AlTravisShow.com. I'll forward it to him. Connor, how are you doing today, sir?
Al, not too shabby. Thanks for having me back.
Good. I know. I appreciate you coming on. You are doing this thing. Well, first, the Brick by Brick podcast, by the way, very entertaining, very informative, and people can get that just anywhere they get a podcast?
Yeah, so right now it's primarily going to be on YouTube at the Brick by Brick Pod on YouTube, and we're going to be moving to other platforms here hopefully soon. And episode 3 comes out a week from today, Wednesday. Oh, fantastic. And they've been very good. You started a thing. Are you still doing it this? What? I'm going to get it wrong because you can make fun of me. Financial Fallacy February. See, bunch of Fs. Yeah.
What was your last one? An endowment something? What is that? Explain that to me.
So the endowment effect. So basically the premise of kind of the segment in February is let's call out and name and talk through some of the mental things we fall into as humans, some of the natural things that our mind does that are maybe not optimal for our decision making. This week, one of them was endowment effect. So basically, this is the premise that we actually value what we own more than something we don't own. That sounds super simple, but let me tell you how that might cause an issue for you. Let's say you're selling your house. Have you ever heard someone say, well, I'm listing my house and my neighbor sold their house for this much, so mine's obviously worth this much more? Pretty common. Sometimes maybe you're right. Sometimes maybe you're not. The reality is your house is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it, but it's very common for us to add extra value to things we already own. Such
it's
as
like selling used cars too. It's used cars. I know this car's in great shape. This is not going to be a problem. And the next guy's, it's still 62 whatever, and you're only going to get so much for it. That's we do. But when you're using it in a financial way, I mean, I get the selling the house thing or your car. Are you saying that's just kind of the same thing? If I own X stock, it's a better stock to hang on to than to get rid of?
So imagine you worked at some company, Target or some publicly traded company for 20 years, and you got a bunch of stock while you were working there, and now it's time to potentially divest. Well, you're going to potentially have a harder time letting go. Or another way this is common is if you inherit it. If mom or dad pass and they give you a bunch of stock that they've held for a long time, people often have a hard time selling it, even though the reality is that is just a financial asset. It may be a blessing that you got from your family member, and certainly don't discredit that, but we have to make sure we're reacting to that rationally and making sure that we're not getting too attached to something like that.
All right, so you've taken this class of psychology when you were going to school for all this. How do you manage that? I come up to Connor, and you're looking at my portfolio, and I'm like, well, I ain't selling that 3M stock. That my mother worked there for 30 years. We're not, and you know what I'm saying? And you're like, you got to fight my love of a stock or whatever the SI. Well, that's the first stock I ever bought. I'm hanging on. You're like, you're losing your shorts. How do you fight that?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is we're not fighting. We're going to continually kind of add logic to that conversation. Hey, you can't have 40% or you shouldn't have 40% of your net worth or your investment assets tied up in one stock just because it was doing really well back when your mom or dad worked there in the 60s or something. Doesn't mean it's the same company. And also, I would say encourage people to continue to own that stock, even to some degree. But maybe we dial that back to 5 or 10% of the portfolio instead, so that we don't have a situation where, and 3M's a good example, not too long ago, it had a really big sell-off, even though it's a massive company that's involved in all kinds of things. That happens all the time. So just education is kind of the main thing. But ultimately, we're not going to twist anybody's arm. It's their money. It's their decision. But our job is to try and give them some guidance and keep them aligned. And we don't have the emotional attachment, so it's easier for us to do that.
I use 3M because this is a true story, and I'll share. So my grandfather worked at 3M, so this is 100 years ago, right? And near Christmas holidays, we as grandkids always got a box with all the Scotch tapes and all the different, there was a time I had hundreds of rolls of Scotch tape because I'm serious, as like an 18-year-old, you don't use as much tape as your grandparents thought, but that was the perfect Christmas gift. But I know Grandpa got stocks and gave those to my parents, right, when they passed.
Yep.
Let me ask you, this brings this up. How does that transfer work generally? And let's just 3M because of my grandparents. So whatever it was worth, they give it to my parents. Is that all of a sudden just a big financial gain to my parents, or is that if
Good
only
question.
till they sell it?
The honest answer is it depends. It's kind of complicated, but it depends. Most of what it depends on is where's the money held. Is the money held in an IRA or retirement account? Is the money held in a brokerage account? Is the money held in a trust? What kind of trust? But most of the time in that situation, they've got a big pile of stock. Maybe they're spending the dividends or something. Maybe it's not in a retirement account. And generally speaking, what's going to happen is if you inherited it or if your parents inherited it from your grandparents, they're going to get something called a step up in basis. So basically,
Whoa! Slow that down. Step up in basis. This is a whole other thing. I don't think we've talked about it. What is a step up in basis?
So your basis or your cost basis is what you paid for something. Your house, a stock, even your cash in the bank account technically has a
But my
cost
parents
basis.
were giving it to them, so they had no cost.
So what happens is your parents, if they didn't have something called a step up in basis, would have to pay tax on the gain or the entire thing. But because they get what's called a step up in basis, their basis is assumed at the fair market value the day that your grandma or grandpa died.
Okay.
So if the stock is worth $100 and they inherit the stock for $100, they now have a basis that was stepped up to 100. So if they sell it for 100, they have no tax at all.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I'm not, again, Grandpa probably worked the day 3M open, so that stock, whatever they would have gave, was obviously quite a move up for them. They were paying taxes on that, or they would have, but by gifting it, that resets the value.
Not gifting it. So if you gift it, that's going
when
to
no.
get the basis. So another example than 3M that people kind of relate to more is mom and dad bought their house in the 50s and 60s for $50,000. Now it's worth $400,000, and mom passes away, dad passed away, mom passes away. We inherit this house for $400,000. If mom, for example, put your name on the title and gifted you part of that house before she died, you assume her basis. You're gifted her basis of $50,000, and when you sell the house, you're going to pay taxes on $350,000 worth of gains. If instead mom passes away and you have you're deeded the title, transfer on death or part of the will or the estate process, you inherit, not be gifted, but inherit the house. Your basis is now $400,000, and if you sell mom's house, you will not pay any tax on it. Assuming it hasn't gone up in value since you inherited it.
Okay, wow. So there's only 100. First, you said it was whether it was in an IRA or regular traditional, or if you're just getting bonds, and then if it's in, its basis went up. I'm sitting going, I'm now scared. You have to have a guide to figure that out, right? I mean, if it's LGH.
Little complicated for radio, but it's definitely something that people miss all the time. I often hear, Mom just put us on the house so that I can help with it. And I have to ask questions when I hear that, because I say, okay, what do you mean by that? Are you now a joint owner? Because then she just basically gifted you part of the house. And just so you know, if you when she passes, and if you sell the house because she's not living there anymore, you're going to pay a bunch more tax. So there's whether it's stock, whether it's a house, property, that is all something to consider. And part of the reason why it's not just as simple as, well, I like 3M or I don't. There's a lot of other things that go into it.
Wow. Okay, so right back to where we started from. You need a guy, because first off, where we started, that endowment thing, I think everything I own is better than it probably is worth. You need a guy who's in the middle of the referee. It says, not worth that much, Al. It's not doing that before. You need that guy. But then you get into this whole, inheritance stuff. Holy Hannah. We'll talk more. I got to go to break. We've got Connor answering the big questions. Brick by Brick is what it's called. Find him at the Brick by Brick podcast. It's Connor from LGH Wealth Management.
At LGH Wealth Management, our mission is to create financial empowerment through independent, personalized, and authentic financial planning. That means meeting you where you are and helping you get where you want to go. Whether you're a business owner planning for growth, succession, or a future sale, or a hardworking individual looking to get ahead, reduce stress, and tackle life's financial challenges, we're here to help. From retirement planning and investment management to tax-efficient strategies, estate planning, and risk management, LGH Wealth delivers comprehensive guidance you can trust. Call LGH Wealth Management today at 507-525-7324. That's 507-525-7324. Securities offered through J.W. Cole Financial Incorporated, JWC, member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through J.W. Cole Advisors Incorporated, JWCA. Lubeck Geisler Ham Wealth Management Incorporated and JWC JWCA are unaffiliated entities.
Amongst friends, the Al Travis Show. Nothing but talk.
Love having him on. He's Connor with Brick by Brick. Connor, you guys send out a monthly kind of a what's happened in the last month, what you're looking at, kind of a big picture of the market. If you don't mind me, because I'm going to share two. Markets absorbed a Goldilocks combo. Strong jobs, cooling inflation. Supports a soft landing and reduces urgency for Feds to do rate cuts. Kind of a bullet point thing. And I read it, and I'm like, all right, am I buying or am I selling? It's so much more complicated. And here's like my question to you. So if I read something from this, is it just to get me thinking? So I give Connor a call and say, hey, what do you mean by that? Because like yesterday, the president did his big deal, right? They had the big State of the Union. Folks get jazzed up or they don't even like it or hate it, but America's going to be booming. All of a sudden I'm on the I should buy bandwagon. I presume the big dogs, right, the big money guys, they understand that's just a blip in the radar. And they're not going to buy because Trump said something last night or the night before, right? So what do I do with all those nuggets? Trump got me, how do I make
managing money for folks? We're certainly not making changes based off of what happened last month or what happened in a speech last night.
Okay.
Now, the trends of things, and does it seem like the economy is going to grow and therefore companies will do well or consumers will have money and spend money? That directly can relate to corporate earnings and whether or not stocks are going to do well, certainly. Inflation being high, things like that. The Fed, and what they do with rates is relevant to stock valuations, and the market reacts to that. I would not want or do not expect any clients to get those emails and say, okay, time to make a change. It's mostly to keep them informed and let them know about some of the things that we're kind of thinking about or watching and seeing, and allowing people to have just a kind of truncated single place to find information that they might find interesting or relevant.
I know you laughed at me last time we talked. Was it last week? Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. When I mentioned that I read on something, one of the things that China was going to drop $1 trillion in stocks. They were going to sell it off. It was going to be the worst day ever. That didn't happen. It didn't actually happen. And I get it. There's weird people try to do stuff on the internet, fish baiting or whatever you guys call it. But this is a little different. This was the president standing on TV for a while. If somebody, again, I get excited. I think this is sounding good. I think this must mean things are going to go great because the president said so. It's kind of the same thing. I mean, it's not fishing, but you must have to ride that with your customers that I'm all jazzed up now. I heard a thing,
It's not uncommon for people to conflate political rhetoric with here's how the markets obviously have to perform. Incredibly, their perspective on how the markets will perform tend to align with their political views. And I won't get into that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've worked with clients and frankly helped them find a way to move out of the country because of their political views. I've also helped clients go and buy physical silver because they're scared of the political rhetoric in the country. So the bottom line is the markets don't actually care about your political views at all. And if you look at history, we've had up markets and down markets when a Republican is president or when a Democrat's president. And the reality is what the market wants is gridlock. So if you want to get political and kind of historical and statistical, if we get the Democrats, for example, are favored to win the House of Representatives here in November. If that happens, likely the market, from as much as they're going to care about political stuff, will like it because now it means there's going to be less agenda. The less that Washington gets done, the more the businesses in the country are able to just do their thing and not have to kind of brace for some sort of big change, whether that's regulation or tax changes. So the most people that watch the State of the Union address and react, that's all fine. And I don't really get into the politics of it, but it is not super relevant, certainly not relevant to 30 years from now when you're retiring and the goal and the plan that we've set up for that purpose.
But it's that feeling. That's why I love it, because, the rest of us got to go with our gut, and I don't do this for a living. The other one is like in your report, like AI. I'm so old, Connor. I don't want to even try to understand it and how it works. But I presume you, the president, you're on top of this and how this is going to affect like stocks. Is this going to make it better or worse? I don't have to figure that out, right? I need a money guy to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, if you're managing your own investments, it's certainly something to pay attention to. That's kind of been the big story of the last year and a half, I would say. And the big reason, or one of the big reasons we've had a lot of choppiness so far this year, lots of ups, lots of downs, the market kind of more or less flat so far this year, is allegedly over AI fears. Is AI a bubble? All these kinds of things, and it sure could be. On the other hand, it could be we're just scratching the surface, and it is going to revolutionize our economy. But also, when we have those big changes, things like the internet, things like AI, things like the automobile, there's pain too. The thing that's scaring people right now is AI is going to replace people's jobs because the economy is going to get more efficient, and you don't need those jobs. It's just like the internet. It's just like the car. You don't have buggy drivers driving the horse and buggy because you don't have horses and buggies anymore because we invented cars and now people drive themselves. So and that's not to minimize job loss, but there's definitely ebbs and flows in the economy, and especially when those very ambitious initiatives are being put out there, we do have to think about how those would affect things.
All right, and again, it makes a whole nother sector, right? AI is going to be a whole other sector of the whole economy, and again, I'm just getting too old to try to figure new stuff out. But I have you here, Connor, and we're going to get you back again next week to talk more of it. If this hits somebody right and they're saying, great, how do I get a hold of Connor? Or the Brick by Brick podcast is probably just the easiest way to get your free knowledge, right? I mean, you're throwing it out there for no good reason.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get a feel for how we actually interact with clients and talk through things or think through things, you can check out the podcast at the Brick by Brick Pod on YouTube. Shoot me an email, connor@lghwealth.com, or check us out on the website, lghwealth.com.
Sounds easy enough, Connor. Appreciate you coming on. We'll do it again next week.
All right, we'll see you, Al.
All right, he's got it. Connor with Brick by Brick. Check him out, the Brick by Brick podcast.
You've been listening to Brick by Brick, a work boots approach to your wealth, creating financial empowerment through independent, personalized, and authentic financial planning. The preceding program is sponsored by LGH Wealth Management, which is solely responsible for its content. Securities offered through JW Cole Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through JW Cole Advisors. LGH Wealth Management, JW Cole Financial, and JW Cole Advisors are unaffiliated entities. The opinions expressed by the advisors at LGH Wealth Management should not be construed as specific investment, legal, or tax advice. Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and state agency limits. All economic and performance information is historical and not indicative of future results. Investing may involve the risk of loss of principal. Any tax advice on this show is not intended to be used by any person for the purpose of avoiding U.S. federal or state tax penalties that may be imposed on such person. Each listener should seek advice from their tax advisor or legal counsel on topics that arise from the show. The financial professionals at LGH Wealth Management are not providing legal or tax advice. Nothing should be construed as solicitation of an offer to buy securities.